Here we go. Slugfest Wizard back at it again, doing my thing. This is my predictions and picks for UFC 145, Jon Jones versus Rashad Evans for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship of the World, brought to you by the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So, it goes down tonight. Really looking forward to it, as usual. So, there's a lot of things I want to say regarding this card. There's a lot of important matchups going on, so without further ado, let's jump on into it. You know, it was kind of around this time last year, where after Jon Jones defeated Ryan Bader really easily, choked him out in the second round. You know, I could tell right away that, you know, he was destined for big things in the UFC light heavyweight division. I've really picked him every time to win, except for when he fought Stephan Bonner. You know, I still have flashbacks of, you know, that night back at UFC 94 when I didn't watch the fight entirely when I first saw it, but, you know, at Buffalo Wild Wings I saw this lanky, you know, young kid, I think he was like 21 or 22 at the time, just tossing around Stephan Bonner. I picked Stephan Bonner to win that one, but Jones ended up winning, and since then he has smashed every opponent that the UFC has put before him, and he has never even been to a 3-round unanimous decision. And last year he went on an incredible run. He choked out Ryan Bader, TKO'd Shogun to win the title, you know, the 205-pound title. He choked out Rampage Jackson and then, you know, put Lyoto Machida to sleep at UFC 140 to close out one of the single best years that a UFC champion has had, ever. And now he is facing, you know, his biggest test so far, at least outside of, like, you know, maybe Dan Henderson, in the form of his former training partner. First of all, I gotta say, Zuffa has been doing a great job at promoting this fight and building it up as this epic grudge match. It's mostly being sold off of the main event right here. You know, basically, at the Greg Jackson camp in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Jon Jones and Rashad Evans were training partners and very good friends. You know, there was that bromance thing that they had there. And Jon Jones said that, you know, told Rashad Evans that he didn't want to fight him, and then in an interview with Ariel Helwani around that time, about 2 or 3 years ago, he told him that, you know, if Dana White made him, he would. So, and he took it. People say that Jon Jones his personality is fake and all that stuff. I'm still a fan of him, but, you know, the way he talks about himself is kind of annoying and kind of pretentious. So if Rashad Evans does win right here, that could be a loss right now for Jon Jones. Could be good right now, but unfortunately I can't pick Rashad Evans to win in this fight. What do I think is going to happen? Alright. Jon Jones has been training for some of the best guys in the world, and he has been destroying them every single chance he gets. He has really shown that he probably is the best light heavyweight in the world right now. And the type of things that Rashad Evans brings to the table, yes, he's trained with him before. You know, Rashad Evans, Ultimate Fighter winner, former champion in his own right. He has trained with him. He's a very powerful, explosive wrestler. He can cover distance very quickly. So this will probably be the first time that Jon Jones himself has ever been taken down or put on his back in a fight, because he still has yet to even be taken down in his UFC career, amazingly. But still, Jon Jones has really good balance, so I think Rashad Evans, based on his wrestling, will be able to win. As far as striking goes, it's kind of close. Jon Jones is not great when it comes to fighting at a distance, even though he has that really long reach that he likes to use. He showed that, especially in his fight with Lyoto Machida, that he can be caught. And if Rashad Evans does that, and if aside from, you know, clipping him early in the second round and scoring kind of a quick flash knockout, it's difficult to see. It's difficult to see how he could win this one. So, part of me feels like I want Rashad Evans to win almost, but I can't do that now. Jon Jones has really shown what it takes. He's the heavy favorite going into this. despite the fact that both Chael Sonnen and Kenny Florian are picking Rashad Evans to win. So, what I see happening is I see Jon Jones going out there and defending his title successfully against Rashad Evans and winning by technical submission or TKO late round 2 or early round 3. I see Rashad Evans shooting in for a double leg takedown after he's tired of striking with Jon Jones, and then Jon Jones cranking on his neck with that guillotine choke that he likes to use, putting him to sleep and being the first guy since Chuck Liddell, again, to defend the light heavyweight title on at least 3 occasions. So best of luck to you, Jon Jones, and Rashad Evans as well. Should be a great, fun, exciting fight. There's a chance that with all the drama and all the tension building up to it, the UFC is putting a lot into this, and I think it will deliver. So that's what I gotta say about the main event. Next bout. I'm gonna go through this kind of quickly. This is really late. In the welterweight division, we have in the co-main event is actually Rory MacDonald versus Che Mills. This is fairly simple, in my opinion. Che Mills is basically a British slugger. You know, a great striker. He's on a 1, 2, 3, 4. He's on like a 5-fight winning streak right now. He has not lost since he got submitted by Yuri Shirina, and he also lost to Jim Wallhead. Let me see. Yeah, he actually has defeated Mariusz Zaromskis on 2 occasions, and he won the knockout of the night at UFC 138 over Chris Cope. So he's 1-0 in the UFC, and now he's taking a huge step up in competition, facing one of the brightest stars in the UFC's welterweight division in the form of Rory MacDonald. Rory MacDonald is you know, unless a big upset occurs, Rory MacDonald is mostly going to have his way with Che Mills in this fight. He's the much better wrestler. He's hungrier. He's showing signs that he very well could be the future of the welterweight division. And even George St. Pierre, the champ for that division, is saying that, you know, he's caught his eye, and he's saying that he also thinks that he could very well be the future. And if you tie this into the fact that Rory MacDonald himself has only gone to a decision one time, and that was when he fought Nate Diaz in that great performance, just threw Nate Diaz all over the cage at UFC 129 back in April 2011. And his only loss is that late TKO loss at the hands of Carlos Condit at UFC 115, a fight in which, you know, looking back, I actually picked Rory MacDonald to win that one. But so yeah, his only loss is to the now current interim welterweight champion. And if you put all those things together, I see Rory MacDonald winning by submission or by knockout in round 1. Or winning a very clear-cut, dominant decision over Che Mills. Next bout. Brendan Schaub versus Ben Rothwell. This very well could be it for Ben Rothwell. You know, he showed up at the UFC back at UFC 104, and he was thought to be a decent challenge for Cain Velasquez, but he ended up getting stopped in the 2nd round. And since then, he's only fought twice, in which that feels like it was a long time ago, against Gilbert Yvel, who won kind of an ugly decision, and he defeated Mark Hunt. So basically, with a guy like Ben Rothwell, he is great in the first 2 or 3 minutes, and then he gasses terribly. So that's not going to help him against Brendan Schaub, who was thought to be the legend killer until until Nogueira went in there and knocked his block off in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I think Brendan Schaub is going to go out there and he's going to either quickly defeat Ben Rothwell, which will be an exciting heavyweight fight, but I actually predict this fight being kind of a weird, gross, slow, sort of not that eventful matchup in the heavyweight division, and I have Brendan Schaub defeating Ben Rothwell by decision in this bout. And in the next bout, this is kind of tough. Michael McDonald, who I don't think he's related to Rory MacDonald, has been on a tear. He's like on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's on a 7-fight winning streak. Hasn't lost in the UFC yet. And he won one knockout of the night at UFC 139, defeating Alex Soto. And his only loss is to Cole Escovedo at a PFC 13 validation event in 2009. And he's fighting former, bantamweight champion and star Miguel Torres. Miguel Torres is now brought back to the UFC, despite his Twitter comments. You know, he was fired briefly. Now, I think that was meant to scare him, and now he's brought back, so the UFC president is giving him another shot. But I'm going to go with the underdog in this bout. I'm going to pick Michael MacDonald to defeat Miguel Torres by a close split decision. And in the featherweight division, Mark Hominick, former title contender to Jose Aldo, will be looking to rebound from his 7-second loss to the Korean Zombie, and he'll be facing Eddie Yeagan. This is also a fairly simple fight, provided Mark Hominick doesn't go out there and try to do something kind of, you know, unless he decides to not game plan accordingly again. Eddie Yeagan is, let's see, what does he train out of? He trains out of Alliance MMA. He's been active since 2000. He's compiled a record of 15-5-1, and he recently just lost to Junior Asunkow at UFC 135 by decision. So this is mostly going to be a fight in which the UFC is hoping Mark Hominick will get a win. And again, I'm going to pick Mark Hominick right here to not get finished like that against Eddie Yeagan, and to go in there and defeat him by probably submission round 2, triangle choke. If not that, he's going to knock him out early on. Because Hominick has shown that he still has very good striking. But this is at a point in which he needs to win. Even if he loses, the UFC probably won't cut him, but they're probably going to need to tell him, obviously, to step it up. Because losing 3 in a row, that's tough. Unless, of course, you're like Steve Cantwell or Dan Hardy. And the last fight on the main card, Mark Bocek versus John Alessio. John Alessio has been a long-time veteran, it seems like. Yeah, 34-14. He's lost quite a few times. You see, out of all those losses, he's been submitted 7 times. And I see Mark Bocek's jiu-jitsu, you know, fellow Canadian Mark Bocek, his jiu-jitsu being too much for John Alessio in this bout. I'm going to pick him to win by submission round 2. If not that, he's going to out-grapple him and take a decision. And the next fight, I'm going to go through this quick. I'm actually going to pick Travis Brown to defeat Chad Griggs on the preliminary card on FX. I'm going to pick Actually, Stephen Thompson, that guy, he did impress me with his showing back at the Condit versus Diaz card, 1 knockout of the night against Dan Stitkin. He also has a record of 63-0, so Mr. Stephen Thompson could be... He has the potential to do some good things in mixed martial arts. So I'm going to pick Stephen Thompson to defeat Matt Brown by decision. I'm going to pick Anthony Njokuani to defeat John McDessie. Mac Danzig to defeat Efren Escudero. Keith Wisniewski to defeat Chris Clements. And Maximo Blanco to defeat Marcus Brimage. Those are all my picks right now. I've tasted what it feels like to be to train MMA. I'm now at the mixed martial arts gym, so I'm getting back in shape, doing all that stuff. It's going really good so far, and I've also got tickets to my very first UFC event, UFC on Fuel. I'm not sure which one it'll be, but no, I know which one it'll be. In terms of numbering, I don't know. The UFC has done 200 events total, but I'm going to go and get the chance to see in Fairfax, Virginia, the Korean Zombie versus Dustin Poirier card. I actually met one of the referees at the MMA Institute. So, you know, guys, that's it for right now. Keep up with mixed martial arts. Be cool. Stay in school. Say no to drugs. All that stuff. Peace out.